This is a Panasonic HHC, and this has got 4K of memory, and it's currently got a homemade mains adapter plugged into it. And it's basically just a frame, a main frame for running applications, which are plugged into these sockets on the back. And these are just ROMs. They're like this, but they're not plugged into a normal socket. They're actually plugged into a bit of plastic here, this way, so they're upside down. These are sockets that I've soldered on here because I dumped this ROM. And they go in like that, 3 of them, well, up to 3 of them. And the machine then reads the ROMs, works out what's in there, and allows you to execute programs. There's also a lot of peripherals you can attach over on this side. And when you get one of these things, you normally get this sort of set of ROMs, which is an insurance type set of applications. And I wanted to actually run the other ROMs that are available for it rather than insurance. And so I thought, oh, I'll just program a ROM and stick it in there. But you can't do that with this because, firstly, these are strange 24-pin 8K ROMs, and secondly, a ROM is normally sort of arranged like this: address and data. There'll be a chip enable, which sort of tells the ROM to stick some data on the bus, and power supply, and that's the normal way of wiring things up. But in the Panasonic, it actually looks like this. You've got ground, you've got chip enable, which is attached to an address line, you've got address and data, and your chip enable is actually your 5-volt supply. So this makes it a bit tricky because the Panasonic actually turns the chip on when it needs to and off when it doesn't need it. And it turns it off between instructions. And when it does a read, it actually turns the supply on for about a microsecond, reads the data and turns it off again. And although these ROMs are happy doing that, modern ROMs aren't. So there's a couple of problems here. The pinout's a bit wonky, so you can't just stick a normal 8K ROM in there. And also, because of this, modern ROMs can't be used because they just wouldn't turn on in time. So first thought I had was shorting the supply out inside the box so that the ROMs are powered up all the time. That doesn't work either because there's no chip enable here. The chip enable, well, there is, but it's on an address line, and that address line is always valid. So you'd end up with multiple ROMs on at the same time. So instead of that, I came up with this, which is considerably more complicated than just putting a ROM in. But this looks at the ROM socket and uses the 5-volt supply just as a chip select. It doesn't use it as a supply. It's got its own USB supply, and that could be a flying lead to the inside of the machine. And that then plugs in using this arrangement here, which is one of the plastic ROM holders attached to a pin header, a couple of pin headers, and it goes in any of the sockets, doesn't really matter. You just plug it in, and of course it goes the other way around after I checked. There you go, and it fits in like that. When the Panasonic starts up, it actually rotates around a menu. I will have to, of course, power it up. So I'll do that now. It's attached to my laptop. And if I turn it on, you can see it goes file system, sharp snap problems, scientific calculator. Now there is no scientific calculator ROM as such plugged in. It's all being emulated from the Raspberry Pi. I pull the power on the Raspberry Pi as it rotates round. Well, okay, it's powered down, so it's having problems reading the ROM without the power, but there you go. Normally, there is no option 5. If I select 5, then I can actually operate it as a calculator, but unfortunately the keys are all a bit weird. There's an overlay you need in order to work out what the key mapping is, but it seems to work. I've had some trouble with some of the other ROMs, but I haven't really tried to use them. The Microsoft Basic and the snap fourth and snap basic. So I need to have a look at those. But this seems to work, the scientific calculator, and this only needs 96 bytes of memory. The basic, well, all the languages need a lot more than that, and this is only a 4K unit, so I think that may be something to do with it, or I might have a faulty unit, I'm not really sure. So I think it would be possible to have a PCB that fitted in place of the 3 ROM sockets and had an RP2350 there somewhere, probably in the space where the ROM normally lives. They normally live upside down in there, and there's quite a lot of volume there. And then maybe wire the power with a flying lead. USB is handy for putting new code on. At the moment, the scientific calculator is the only ROM that I've got. It's in the internal flash of the RP2350, but it could be on anything. You could even have a micro SD card to actually store images. Yeah, so it might be possible to have something that sort of fits in there with a flying lead. All the other signals are there. You've got ground and you've got all the other signals. It's just one flying lead to the inside of the machine. It's a really nice machine. It's very well made. It's very solid feeling. I think there's quite a lot of metal in it. And it's just a bit too nice to not use.